you're doing a lot of you're doing business coaching and leadership coaching and stuff like that. How do you is that a thing that you see where you recognize that someone sort of needs to work on this aspect of like how do you catalog the shit you've been through to use later? You know,
I think so, because like interesting that you say like kind of catalog this shit you've been through, because you mentioned earlier about looking back, right? And I do feel like not enough people. You shouldn't live in the past, but you should take stock of what happened.
Yeah.
Right. For a number of reasons. One is I think a lot of times we'll just get over something and then not look back and say, what the hell just happened there?
Yeah.
Right. To know, again, to teach you like how to not get in that situation again, or how to respond better than you did.
Yeah.
Right. But I also feel like if you look back and actually take stock of the things that happened, that took place, that you did, small to large, good or bad, for me anyway, that makes time crawl. Right. I hear people talk about how, oh my God, time just slips by. It just does this. And it's like, have you actually spent 5 to 10 minutes without distraction, just documenting, looking back and saying, this is what I did in whatever that period of time is.
I love that.
And it's like right now my wife and I are in Southern California for a couple of months in the winter to avoid the dark of the north. And we've been going to places 6 weeks at a time, and we're about to wrap up here in Palm Springs. And you kind of look back and say like, wow, where'd the time go? And then it's like, nope, you can't say that, because if you think about all the things that we've done, we did just to sit on the couch. We've been to Joshua Tree a couple times. We've been stargazing. Incredible. We've done all this stuff. It's like, I'm kind of tired. I'm ready to move on. Right.
Yeah.
But I feel like going back to what you're talking about, coaching and especially business owners, if they're not doing that, if you're not doing this and you're listening, you really should take stock of all the stuff that you've done, all the things that you've been through, conquered, survived.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think it just helps build your character. How do you build character if you don't do that?
I don't know how you don't. It seems like people get really caught up in the logistics of those sayings. Like you said, don't live in the past. It's like they take it. People I've found take it very literally, and it's like, well, that's not 100% what that means. It means don't dwell on it, but learn from it and enjoy it, and write that shit down. Like you're saying, it seems like in our youth we spend so much time just trying to get from point A to point B as fast as possible, and then maybe that's where we are in our lives. Now we're trying to slow that process down.
Well,
slower every day.
For me, it's not slow it down. Although I mean, you want to enjoy life, but I think it's more of like, all right, I've done this, and now for me, I'm able to be a little bit more selective on what to do next.
Yeah,
I'm very appreciative and privileged to be able to do that. But I mean, that's where I think a lot of people get to is like, okay, now what? Right. And for some, like just doing what you're doing, that's cool. I honestly don't want to start a bait shop. I really do like design. I do
kind of excited about that.
I do like doing things on the web, but you just kind of, you want to be open to some different ideas and different opportunities.
I've been thinking about that a lot lately too. I mean, I don't know how much straight up client project management, client builds and things that you're involved in with your own hands still. And I don't want to make assumptions, but I still do a bit of that as well as managing teams. And I've just been thinking about like you mentioned, I don't want to misquote. Who was the designer you mentioned? Was it
Milton
Glaser?
Yep.
All these, I'm looking at the IBM logo and I can't remember his name. The designer of that thing. Anyway.
Paul
Rand. Yeah.
Paul Rand.
Like these people that did what they do up until their 80s.
Yeah.
And I think we're kind of lucky in what we do, where we potentially can do that work. Like, you're thinking about retirement, but like, I'm not even thinking about that in terms of what I do for a living. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm fully planning to continue to create and to think creatively until the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're super lucky um,
Well,
to be in that world.
totally. That's where my mind is right now. Is
Yeah.
I'm focused on what are some initiatives that I can be doing when I'm 80 years old,
Yeah.
because I got to tell you, I'm here in Palm Springs. This place is retirement central.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
right. And I just posted a threads yesterday. I'm like, Palm Springs, there's two patterns of life here. You either playing golf or you're waiting to die.
Yeah.
Right. And everything else is in support of those two life streams here.
Mm-hmm.
And neither of which to me appeals to me whatsoever. I've played enough golf to know I don't want to be doing that day in and day out. I don't want that to be the thing I wake up in the morning and say, like, what am I doing today? I'm going to go play freaking golf. I look at what people like Milton and again, like Julia Child, and it's like, I may not practice design this the way that I did when I was 25, 30, but I want to be in this world. And I do want to have my hands, in it. Like I'm amazed how many design leaders there are out there that do not know how to use Figma. It scares them. I've talked to some, I've coached some of them, and in this downturn where they look at this and say, I might have to just go back to being a designer, and that terrifies them because they've got a good 2, 3, maybe 5, 6 year gap of actually having done the work.
Yeah.
And there's this fear of like, oh my God, it's a whole different world. And it's like, well, yeah, it is, and it isn't. And like best practices and the way we do things, those will always continue to evolve, right? But I always want to have at least a toe in the the do pool.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to be divorced from it.
Wow. I don't even know how to parse that